Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Today I will talk about a book on Rajesh Khanna. This is Rajesh Khanna's biography by a journalist and writer called Yasser Usman. This was published in 2016. Most of you would know that Rajesh Khanna passed away in July 2012, and he needs no introduction. If you uh, like Hindi films, you would know about him. So this is a fairly readable, interesting book. I enjoyed it. So let me talk about this book and the phenomena that was Rajesh Khanna. So when somebody is writing a biography, essentially, you have uh, you are talking about a person's life. So you depend on a if the person is alive, your subject is alive, you sometimes might have access to the person and you can talk to the person. So that is one source of information. Second is people around that person, your subject, you can talk to them if they are willing to open up. Third is that you actually go through the interviews and letters that the person wrote. So that gives an insight into the mind of the person. Uh, Fourth is that you look at the secondary literature, magazines and other stuff on that subject. So this book is actually a combination of two main sources. One is people around Rajesh Khanna. They opened up, they talked about him. The most important person I think who has made this book very interesting is Rajesh Khanna's personal secretary, Prashant, who worked with him when Rajesh Khanna was at his peak. So from 1969 to 73, those 4 years, Rajesh Khanna was a phenomena, the likes of which have not been seen in India. Even the popularity of Shah Rukh Khan, Salman Khan, or Amitabh Bachchan cannot match the phenomena that Rajesh Khanna was during those 4 years. The hysteria that he caused, the fan following, how people were crazy about him, this is something which remains unmatched. Uh, in fact, in Bombay, there would be times when 6 or 7 of his films would be running simultaneously and all would be Golden Jubilee. Now, that is something which has never been replicated till now. Yasir Usman spoke with people around Rajesh Khanna, and the most important source of information is Prashant. And there were other people. Salim Khan spoke a lot. Salim Javed were very friendly with Rajesh Khanna. Not many people know that Rajesh Khanna gave them the first break before they went on to do bigger things. And that movie that they wrote was Hathi Mere Sathi. But anyway, I'll come to that. So this book is readable. It gives you an insight into Rajesh Khanna, the man, and the actor. And interestingly, till date, Dimple Kapadia has never gone on record to talk about her relationship with Rajesh Khanna. So in this book also, she did not uh, find a mention because she refused to be quoted or she refused to cooperate. But anyway, it is still a well-rounded view of Rajesh Khanna's life. So what made Rajesh Khanna uh, become successful as an actor, and what was he like as a man? So this book explores both his impact as an actor, uh, his way of working, professionally how he worked, and personally what kind of person he was. And the thing is that when you look at people who are extremely successful, who have achieved whatever is there to be achieved, then you look at their personal life, it's like a lesson that, his personal life, Rajesh Khanna's personal life was also not so great. He had a craving for adulation, he had a craving for love, he had a lot of insecurities, and this caused a lot of problem for him and people around him, and it led to a lot of problems in his life, both personal and professional. But before that, let's start the story at 1969. Sometime in August, September, this movie Aradhna released, and Rajesh Khanna had done, I think, two more movies before that, Aakhri Khat and Raz. but they were very average films. So Aradhana, directed by Shakti Samanta, started the Rajesh Khanna craze. Back then, films were released in a staggered way. So a film would be released in Bombay, and then after a few weeks, it would released in other parts of the country. So the movie released in Bombay, and then it was released in Delhi. Initially, the movie did not have great reports, but it slowly picked up, and then once it picked up, it became a phenomenon. Interestingly, Rajesh Khanna had a double role in the film, and initially, director Shakti Samanta was looking at casting two different heroes, one for the father and one for the son. And as luck would have it, somebody suggested to him while he was searching for an actor to play the father uh, and the son. He was told that why not consider Rajesh Khanna for both the roles. So this was suggestion of one of the script writers, and that's how Rajesh Khanna played a double role. But the movie was a phenomena. The songs were a rage. Till today, the songs are played, and Rajesh Khanna after that became a phenomena, and a series of hits came. So whether it was Do Raste, Anand, Hathi Mere Sathi, Andaz, a movie in which he did a 15-minute role, a cameo, which had Shami Kapoor as the hero. The film became a blockbuster because of Rajesh Khanna and the song that he sang, Zindagi Ek Safar Hai Suhana. So yeah, I mean he was a phenomena, but before he became a phenomena, not many people talk about his life before 1969. So Rajesh Khanna was born in Amritsar in 1942 in a Punjabi family, and his real name is Jatin. Interestingly, this used to happen in Punjabi families. His father, his father's brother, which is Rajesh Khanna's chacha, did not have any kid, and he used to live in Bombay, and he was a businessman. So the brothers decided that the younger brother would adopt this little kid who would become Rajesh Khanna. So Rajesh Khanna actually was brought up by his foster parents, and he used to call his mother, which is like Chai ji. So shifted to Bombay as a newborn, brought up by his father's brother, fairly well-off family. He used to drive around in the car even when he was not working in films. Rajesh Khanna had a great love for theatre, so he did a lot of theatre before he entered the films. And in theatres, his performances were applauded by everyone. And then he won a contest. So you have nowadays many contests you see on television. Back then, the producers had a contest where people would apply through letters, and they were shortlisted, then they would be called in. So it was called Cine Producers Association Talent Hunt. So all the big producers would get together and organize a contest. So Rajesh Khanna won that contest, and one of the condition was that two producers would cast the winner in the film. So the year Rajesh Khanna won the contest, the second person, the runner-up, was Jitendra. So interesting coincidence. But anyway, Rajesh Khanna had a strong grounding in theatre, and people might think that he had certain mannerisms and he could just has this way of twinkling his eyes, looking at the actress and singing songs. But he was actually a good trained actor, and he had done theatre before he came to films. Anyway, he was a phenomena definitely, and he had a number of hits. But all along, there were problems brewing. He was not very disciplined. He would drink a lot. He was insecure. He would arrive late on the sets. So for an 8 o'clock shift, he will come at 2 o'clock. But when the going is good, nobody is saying anything. And around this time in 1970, because he was popular, he bought the house which was called Ashirwad. It was his father's suggestion that he should call the bungalow Ashirwad. Even if somebody was writing a hate mail, they would have to write Ashirwad. So they would be giving him blessing. That's how his bungalow came to be named Ashirwad. Anyway, he was things were going fine personally, professionally. He was in a relationship with Anju Mahindru, a very prominent model who was also getting into films. She had a relationship before that with Gary Sobers, the cricketer, when the West Indian team toured India. But she was in a committed relationship with Rajesh Khanna. Things were going fine, and then things began to fall apart. In the sense that some of Rajesh Khanna's movies were not doing too well. It was 1973. Rajesh Khanna was insecure, and then he ended up meeting a young actress who was just 15 or 16, who was shooting for a film which was Bobby, and they met on a flight. Uh, they were going to Ahmedabad for a show, and they were on the same flight. They met, they talked, and they decided to keep in touch. And then everyone knows what happened. Rajesh Khanna fell madly in love with Dimple Kapadia. They decided to get married. The book has got very interesting story of how Anju Mahindru discovered that Rajesh Khanna was cheating on her. So it reminds me of the language people use nowadays. Rajesh Khanna was acting like a red flag with Anju Mahindru because he was not telling her the truth. So there are a lot of interesting incidents which are very engrossing, that how Rajesh Khanna tried to manipulate the situation and how things fell apart. So the breakup of Rajesh Khanna and Anju Mahindru is recounted in some detail in the book, and it makes for some very interesting reading. Anyway, they got married. Dimple was 16. She quit the films, and yes, one important thing: Rajesh Khanna had one very big advocate and a big fan in the film industry, who was not a producer or an actor. She was a journalist, Devyani Chaubal, who was the prima donna of film journalists in Bombay, and she was very impressed by Rajesh Khanna. Some people say she was madly in love with him, and the feeling was mutual. So she was a big supporter of Rajesh Khanna. They would be always together, and they would be spending time together. Rajesh Khanna would give her all the exclusive interviews, and so it was a mutual admiration society. They liked each other, and she felt cheated when Rajesh Khanna decided to get married to Dimple. And then a few other things happened. But later on, much later, they patched up. But yeah, Rajesh Khanna's marriage impacted not just his female fans and Anju Mahindru, but even people like Devyani Chaubal. Anyway, gradually Amitabh Bachchan became more popular thanks to films like Zanjeer, Sholay, and then a series of films like Diwar. And soon enough, he was the number one star. Interestingly, the people who actually made Amitabh Bachchan superstar, which is Salim Javed, which is Yash Chopra, and which is Manmohan Desai, all these people were initially the great friends and fans of Rajesh Khanna. So Yash Chopra started his independent banner. He left his brother B.R. Chopra in 1972, and he wanted to set up his own banner, Yash Raj Films. The first film that he made was Daag, which he directed, which had Rajesh Khanna. It was an interesting and controversial subject, and the film was a blockbuster. And Rajesh Khanna was supposed to star in Diwar also, but that's another story. Salim Javed got their big break through Rajesh Khanna. He asked them to write Hathi Mere Sathi, and they were very thick. They would be drinking together, they would be socializing together, but then they fell apart. And Manmohan Desai made two blockbusters with Rajesh Khanna, Sacha Jhoota and Roti. Before he started making films with Amitabh Bachchan, Manmohan Desai was also a big fan of Rajesh Khanna. But a number of reasons. One is uh, personal behavior, like Rajesh Khanna was never disciplined, he was not on time. Also, Rajesh Khanna had one problem, that he had, in the evening, he would have a darbar where his chamchas would sit with him, they'll drink, they will make fun of people, and the drinking would go on till past midnight. So, if you were a director or a producer, wanting to work with Rajesh Khanna, you had to be present at these darbars every evening. So a lot of people could not do that. And also, after getting drunk, Rajesh Khanna would behave badly. So that actually impacted his relationship with the film industry. On the other hand, Amitabh Bachchan was punctual. 8 o'clock means 8 o'clock. Um, Amitabh Bachchan was teetotaler, did not drink. There was no darbar. He would come, report on the set, will do whatever he was told to do, and put in his best, and then leave. So it was a big change for producers and directors to work with Amitabh Bachchan. So Amitabh Bachchan's professionalism worked in his favor, and he has mentioned off and on that he learnt from Rajesh Khanna's mistakes, because he worked with Rajesh Khanna in Anand and Namak Haram when Rajesh Khanna was the superstar. So Amitabh Bachchan learnt from Rajesh Khanna's mistakes, and he never made those mistakes again. So coming back to Rajesh Khanna's career after 1974, when he lost the crown to Amitabh Bachchan, he actually acted in films, and his films did fairly fine. I mean, like, he was still a star, but he was no longer the phenomena or the superstar that he was for those 4 years. But he remained a bona fide star. He had many notable films in the later part of his career, and till about 1985-86, he remained one of the major leading figures of Hindi film industry. His marriage with Dimple Kapadia came apart. They separated. Dimple Kapadia wanted to get back into films, and eventually she did make a comeback with Sagar and many other films. Interestingly, this book has got lots of gossip or interesting information. Like, Dimple Kapadia and Rishi Kapoor were supposed to be in love when they were shooting for Bobby. The story goes that Rishi Kapoor had given her a ring, and she used to wear that ring. So when Rajesh Khanna proposed to her on a beach at night, he insisted that she take out the ring and throw it in the sea, which is what she did, and it broke Rishi Kapoor's heart. So this was in 1973. So this book gives a lot of information about Rajesh Khanna's relationship with Tina Munim once he and Dimple kind of separated, and then after that it actually traces his journey from 90s onwards as a politician, contesting from Delhi, and for about 10 odd years he was off and on stationed in Delhi from 91 to 2000, and once he lost the election in 97, then he lost interest. He was angling for a Rajya Sabha membership, which never came about. But one thing which was there was that he was throughout this time very lonely. His drinking caused him problems. He wanted yes men around him. He could not hear a disagreement. He would feel very offended if somebody pointed out or gave a frank feedback. He did not like it at all. So those things in a way hampered his growth as a person. It hampered him professionally, both in acting and in politics. So all these things remained. Though people, to kind of counter that, there are people who say that he was a very generous man. He would go out of his way to help people, which he did actually. So human beings are actually, we all have both sides. We are good in some ways, we are not so good in other ways, and like that, even Rajesh Khanna was just human. He was in some ways a very good man, and in some ways a deeply flawed person, like all human beings are. But we tend to think of stars or politicians as above all this, but they are all human. They are all struggling, and in fact everyone is struggling, no matter what you achieve professionally. Human life is a struggle. You have to fight for your happiness. You have to work towards your happiness, and it is a job which you have to do it every day. So you can't simply say that, okay, I have done my bit, now I can just relax. Life is a struggle. It's philosophically also, and in real life it is a struggle. So Rajesh Khanna's flaws are also recounted in the book. He struggled with his demons. He had this thing of, why am I not successful? People used to imagine the entire country was crazy about you, and then nobody bothers about you anymore. So it's a tough thing to handle, and Rajesh Khanna had to handle that, and he had to handle it for a long part of his life. So yeah, I mean, this book is a very instructive read because once you know a person a bit more closely, you can sympathize with that person. You also do not envy that person the success, because success came with its own set of problems. So yes, it's a good way to look at, I mean, you to understand life and struggles. This is good way to read biography. I like reading biographies. And in India there is no culture of books on, say, Hindi film industry. So there is no great biography of Raj Kapoor, though one book came out recently, but really not much. Not much about most of the stars. Even Amitabh Bachchan, there is no detailed study of Amitabh Bachchan. I mean, he has been a phenomena for more than 50 years, but there is no literature. That's the sad part, because there should be stuff which people can read and understand, and this could be from film perspective, it could be from sociological perspective, it could be from a cultural perspective, because films are in a way pop culture. So I wish there would be more books on different aspects of Hindi film industry. And that's why I read this book. And there's one more biography of Rajesh Khanna, which I'll talk about in another review. So coming back to this book, fairly fast-paced, had good access to people who were around Rajesh Khanna, mostly staff and some actors and producers. Salim of Salim Javed fame has contributed to this book quite a bit through his own inputs and recounting of incidents with Rajesh Khanna. And he maintained that they never set out to belittle Rajesh Khanna, even if they had their differences. They stuck to their work, and the scripts that they wrote demanded an actor like Amitabh and not an actor like Rajesh Khanna. This is his version. But anyway, I enjoyed reading this book. And I would recommend that read it actually. And it has got photographs of not too many, but there are some photographs, and so you can see Rajesh Khanna during his glory days. And I can talk more about Rajesh Khanna. Let me just take 2 minutes to talk about him as a politician. He was fielded by Congress party in 91 election against Advani. Advani being the stalwart of BJP, but Rajesh Khanna gave him a close fight. In fact, it was so close that Rajesh Khanna thought he had won, and he started celebrating. And then the results were announced, and Advani won by about 1,500 votes, which is really small, tiny margin. But as luck would have it, Advani gave up that seat because he had contested from Gandhinagar and he retained that. So there was a by-election within 1 year. Shatrughan Sinha was fielded by BJP, and this time Rajesh Khanna won. And he remained Lok Sabha MP for 5 years, and then he contested again, and that time he lost. And then he tried to get a Rajya Sabha nomination, and he failed, partly because his access to people who mattered in Congress had come down. And one reason why he felt disillusioned was, and this is the Amitabh Bachchan angle in his life. So in films he lost out to Amitabh Bachchan. In politics he discovered that Amitabh Bachchan, though he was not in politics, he had direct access to the Gandhi family. Even in the 90s, they were the close family friends. And Rajesh Khanna realized that he could never be as close to Gandhi family as Amitabh Bachchan is. So Rajesh Khanna spent last 10-12 years of his life feeling lonely. He got into a relationship with a lady called Anita, for which there are not many details available. He acted in some 2 or 3 very forgettable movies. One would not want to talk about them. And he died a lonely man, though when he was diagnosed with cancer in 2010, Dimple Kapadia moved back into Ashirwad, and she tried to nurse him and gave him all that he wanted. And then in July 2012, Rajesh Khanna passed away. A man who gave a lot of joy to people of India, who created memories for so many millions of Indians, who lives in their hearts and in their minds. So yes, interesting life, and I wish they had retained the bungalow that he lived in as a museum, but I'm told it's got sold off and it's being rebuilt, which is sad. We Indians should preserve heritage. We can learn something from America and Europe, where they really take care of their heritage. We don't. I think we should. Ashirwad uh, was a landmark, and it should have been preserved as a bungalow, as a museum to the memory of Rajesh Khanna, but it was never done. And lastly, I will talk about one thing, which is Rajesh Khanna inspired the fandom, which is hard to believe. Like people call Salman Khan's fan ki bhai ke fan hai. I mean, they have no idea about the fan following that Rajesh Khanna had. He literally created hysteria. Literally created hysteria. So I do not know because I mean I did not see it myself, but all the people who saw it, like Mahesh Bhatt and like Salim, they say that there has never been that kind of hysteria and fan following ever. So till date, no other actor has matched that kind of popularity. So yeah, I mean, this is we should probably talk more about people from the film industry from the yesteryears because there is so much there, and I will probably bring you more stories and more reviews of books. Thank you very much for watching. I can probably tell you more stories, but that should be enough. And yeah, read it if you want to learn about Rajesh Khanna. Watch some of his movies. If you are a young person, I would recommend probably some movies which you can watch. Anand is popular. Amar Prem is popular. Uh, you can also check out movies like I think Roti, which I is quite a nicely made film. You can check out Sacha Jhuta, and what else? Yeah, there are lots of films. I'm just trying to recount names which come to me right now. But yeah, and yeah, I mean it's on YouTube. You can watch his songs, and yeah, it's good to go back to our past and relive some moments. So thank you very much. I'll see you again soon.